Welcome to Module 5.4 on our YouTube videos looking at Chapter 7. We're going to look at Section 7.4, solving two operation equations. And so in this video we're going to look at how to solve linear equations that have an unknown and solve formulas. And again, it's going to have two steps to be able to do this. So we're going to look at problems that have not only just a subtraction, but maybe an addition or a multiplication as well to be able to isolate that variable. So again, it's still a basic principle, and you can do this with more than just two steps. You can do it with 4, 5, or 6 different steps. You just need to remember the different rules of operations on how you're going to do this, how to combine like variable or like terms, like what was in the video before. In this chapter, so go back and refresh yourself if you need to do that. So this is the same principle applies. And so with this, we're going to look at how to solve this problem by saying 23 equals 9 minus y to the third. And so the first thing you want to do is kind of opposite PEMDAS. So when you think about PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Get rid of the addition, subtraction first. You can do either one. You can do the multiplication or division first, but it's easier if you get if you can either add or subtract the number or constant or off of the variable that you're wanting to isolate. And so in this case, we have 9, and so we're going to say, all right, well, let's subtract 9 on this problem. And what we do to one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other. So we're going to have 14 equals negative y. So bring your sign with you over 3. And then, so we look at this and go, okay, well, now we've got a problem with it's a division problem with my variable, and I want to isolate that variable. So how am I going to get it all by itself? Well, I'm going to do the opposite operation. So if it's dividing, I'm going to go ahead and multiply, and what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And so, and you can either do the negative now, or you can do it afterwards. If you multiply by -3 right now, then you're going to have a negative on your answer. But I'm going to show you what happens if you forget and be like, oh, that's right, it's still a negative there. Now what do I do? So we're just going to go 3 times 14. And so that's 42 equals, oh, now I've got negative y. Okay, now what I do? Remember that there is a 1 in front of that variable that you don't see. So it's really negative 1y. So if you just do the opposite operation, because it's negative 1 times y, and so the opposite operation is division. And so what you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. And so 42 divided by negative 1 is negative 42. And then your y is left as a positive variable, which it needs to be. So you could have also done that up here, like I said. If you would have made this multiplying by -3, then you would end up with negative 42, and multiplying a negative times a negative would have given you a positive y. So that's the way you will probably do it when you see it. I just wanted to make sure that you recognize what to do if you had it to where you left it with a negative on the y. So, okay. Let's go ahead and look at this multi-step problem. One of the first things that you really want to do is recognize that you have like terms in here. And so we're going to go ahead and add these like terms and then solve. And so we're going to say 2x and 4x are like terms. So we have 6x plus 5 equals 17. Again, let's go ahead and get rid of the addition or subtraction. In this case, it's an addition. The opposite operation is minus, so we're going to subtract 5. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other, so we'll end up with 6x equals 12 over here. 6 is multiplying times the x, so the opposite operation is division. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And 6 divided by 6 cancels out as 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. All right, just multi-step. Remember to combine your like terms. Well, we'll go ahead and do this next problem, and this is looking at a student's average test score. I want you to go ahead and go through the process, read it, and see how to do this problem. Okay, we're back, and hopefully you were able to do this problem, and if not, let's go ahead and look and see how to get this done. Again, when we read this, one of the things that we see is this isn't just averaging a bunch of students' scores, or a student's scores on tests to find out what the average is. The student actually took 4 tests and received an 82, an 85, a 74, and a 73, but there's a 5th test, and they want a final score of 80. Well, okay, how can we figure that out? Well, we know that the average is going to be the sum of the test scores over the number of the tests that they took. So given the information that we know that they want the average to achieve an average of 80, so they want to be able to get an 80, but they're going to have the scores that they've made so far, and so remember the sum is adding, and there's a worksheet that you can refer to that I introduced in the first videos, and it's in the materials section of Blackboard. So the test that they've taken is an 82, an 85, a 74, and a 73. And that's over 5 tests. Remember, there were 5 tests. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, what about the 5th test? Okay, well, we're just going to say that that is T, so that we can divide by the number of tests. All right, so in doing this, we're going to go ahead and let's add these up. And 82 plus 85 plus 74 plus 73 is 314. So bring the problem down. And again, I would completely recommend always bring your problem down and rewrite the problem every time. That way it'll keep you from making mistakes, or you can go back and see where you made a mistake if something pops up. So in this case, we have 314 plus t divided by 5. Now to get rid of the 5, we want to do the opposite operation. So we're going to multiply by 5. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And when we do that, we go 5 times 80 is 400, and 5 divided by 5 is 1, so we've got 314 plus t. Extend my page a little bit here. And so the operation with our variable to isolate that, it's a plus right now, so we want to do the opposite operation, which means we have to subtract. So we subtract 314 on one side, we subtract 314 on the other side, and so let's go ahead and we've got 300 minus 314 is 86, and so we've got 86 over here, and this zeroes out, and we've got t. So the student needs to get an 86 on their test, the last test, to be able to get at least an 80. That's going to be it for this module. If you have any questions, please go back and watch the videos. You can refer to Pearson My Math. You can contact me, and I'm also available on Thursdays at 6 o'clock for Open Lab, Virtual Lab.